welcome back to Fireside and Fairy Tale. It is lovely to see you on a beautiful spring day, if somewhat still chilly here in the north of the Northern Hemisphere. Today is Tuesday, the 18th of March 2025, and this is Flosstube number 14. And I have a medley, a mix of items to show you today. But of course, I'm starting with samplers. I am keeping my book of days filled with items that I've stitched each day, and it is an extremely good way of keeping record and keeping up with what I have been doing. And also planning and keeping to my actual targets and aims, which I managed to do this past week. I don't guarantee to do that every week. So today I wanted to show you a Blackbird design that I am alternating with Merrily Merrily, We Welcome Spring. And I'm doing them week by week, alternating, because I'd like them to be finished more or less at the same time. Though I think that this one here will be completed before Merrily Merrily, which is quite an intensive stitch. So here we are. I've been working on it for most of the past week. Come into my garden by Blackbird Designs, and I have to say it probably is my favourite of their designs to stitch so far. I have stitched a number of them now, rather smaller and I wouldn't say any less difficult, but I'm really enjoying this one. As you can see, I have now completed the motifs on the top border, and I have the whole line of alphabet completed along the top there. So we'll be aiming to, I think my plan is to work down steadily, going just motif and alphabet, working down the entire thing to finish at the foot. But you never know, I might give up on that and start to dot around. But that is my aim, to be quite methodical about it. I'm loving the colours, and I'm absolutely loving this fabric, not to mention the whole design. Here is the pattern, and that is the completed sampler, which is a reasonably large size. It will end up being almost 14 inches by 14 inches, which is a lovely larger size for me. I'm stitching it on 36 count vintage country mocha Zweigart with Weeks Dye Works threads, and it's 1/2. And as people will know now, I keep my threads in sushi boxes. They look very like shaker boxes, and I think that's where the design has actually originated. Love shaker boxes, but to obtain shaker boxes in the UK is really quite difficult, whereas sushi boxes seem to be quite readily available, and I have a number of them. I love keeping them, my threads, in each of the compartments. These boxes stack, and it's working for me. It really is working for me. And here we have some of the absolutely beautiful shades that Blackbird Designs have chosen for this particular sampler. So I've thoroughly enjoyed working on that this past week, and mostly stitched on that. And I will now be, as I say, leaving it to the side for a week. That's my plan. And picking up Merrily Merrily, We Welcome the Spring, which I'll show you at the end. It's another Blackbird Designs. As a complete contrast, Stacy, Nash, Rose, Cottage, Pinkeep has also been occupying much of my time, particularly later in the week. I'm stitching this on Confederate grey, and it is 32 count, and it's a Weeks Dye Works fabric. It's quite a loose fabric, and for some work I certainly prefer Weeks Dye Works. It's looser, and on other projects I prefer the Zweigart, which is a more even fabric. And I like the Weeks Dye Works on this because I've been working on full coverage at the bottom, and I think I'm calling them doves by the waterside at the foot of this house. And my aim was this week to work on the passage under the house, just that particular. It was 2 birds and the flower. So I have managed to keep at it, and did actually achieve that, which did mean quite a lot of focus and attention. It's lovely. It's 8 inches by 8 inches, so it's quite large, and it's taking me longer than I thought, or put it this way, it's rather more intensive stitch than I had anticipated. And so I decided that I would just take it a little bit at a time. And so my aim for the coming week will be to, for the end of March, I'm going to have finished all of the blue along the bottom. So I've got less to do in the coming week. It's probably only one bird there. You never know, I might go mad and do a bit more, but I certainly don't want to do any less, because my aim is to finish all of the blue by the end of March. So this is a slightly slower aim on this one. I don't aim to finish this Pinkeep till the summer, but I will keep going with it, continue to go with it. It is using DMC threads, so it's quite a straightforward project when it comes to thread compared to some of my other choices. Just very straightforward DMC, but they're working very well with the Confederate grey Weeks Dye Works. Now the next one I want to show you is one that I had bought quite a number of years ago. And it kept, sort of saying, hello, I'm here, when are you going to start me? And so I finally got my act together. I took a little while to choose the fabric, and I'm purchasing the threads gradually because they're silk. So I wasn't going to lay out an entire amount for all the silks at one go. And so I bought the silks for the border first of all, and I actually had another, I think 3 turn up this week in the post. One from America. Well, I better tell you what it is first of all. It's Shakespeare's Peddlers. It's her sampler. It's called Anne Grant, 1829, and you can see at the top there the actual sampler. And then she has brilliantly done her, not adaptation, it isn't actually, it's just bringing it to a more modern audience, but she's taken that design and put it on new linen. A rather paler linen in this case, and given us what her choice of threads are. And as I say, I'm actually doing this in her choice, that Shakespeare's Peddler's choice of silk, though she does also give a DMC conversion. And I think I have now accumulated slightly more than half of the silks. I was stitching this finally properly just yesterday and have completed the first floral motif. This is on the top left corner. You'll probably see it round the other way. It is the left, the left corner. One of the, I think probably it was the border that really attracted me to this. It's a beautiful sampler, and I loved the name of the pink that's used here, which is called Camelot's Lady, and it's just so romantic, so wonderful. I'm a great lover of the art of John Waterhouse, and he certainly painted a number of Camelot's ladies in his paintings. If you ever have the chance to see some of his paintings in the flesh, I highly recommend it. Just a wonderful, wonderful artist. And so we have Camelot's Lady from Thread Gatherer, and it's silken colours, and you can see it's just a wonderful, wonderful pink, but definitely a good idea to be following Shakespeare Peddler's choice of the threads. She's also called, her name is Teresa Vinette, and she's also known as Kitten Stitcher, a wonderful cat lover like myself. And I've just shown you the wrong colour. This is the one that came this week. The actual Camelot's Lady is a pinker one, so sorry about that. There you are, Camelot's Lady. That's the pink there. That's my challenge to you. Was I showing you the right one? Camelot's Lady. And it's by the Thread Gatherer. Now, the one that I did show you in error is one that came just in the last week from 123 Stitch, who sends over to the UK from the United States with minimal postage. I don't know how she manages it, but she does, and they're very quick and wonderful, and thank goodness they're there. And the one that I received is Potter's Clay, which again, absolutely wonderful colour. And then we have Gloriana, lovely, lovely Gloriana, Schoolhouse Red. Now, I was stitching away on this yesterday, and I sort of sat back from it a little. I was stitching under my light with my magnifier. I didn't really need my magnifier actually, but it was there and very strong light. And I came away from it and looked at it in, as it is in normal light. And I thought, wow, this is so beautiful. So beautiful. So I'm in love with silk. Now, I do use all the cotton threads you could think of, and have been thoroughly enjoying them. But I have to say, I think I might be putting silk as my absolute priority. Now, I know some people don't like silk, and other people have ethical reasons not to choose silk because they kill the silkworms in a simply horrible way. But oh my goodness, the result is just, it's divine. It is divine. I did struggle with choosing the fabric, getting the right fabric. It is a large sampler, depending on your thread count. But I finally found one that would do, and it is a Zweigart pre-cut Edinburgh, and I bought that from Fobbles, Fobbles. They are in the UK, they're in England, and this is vintage 3009, 36 count. I decided to go with the 36 count because I felt it's a large, complicated sampler. It's probably the most complicated I have approached so far, and I really want to actually have it finished. So there we are, Anne Grant. Now, the next two are my own designs, and if you've been following me, you'll know that I've been designing this one as I've gone along. And with both of these next one, what I have been doing is looking at the alphabet and looking at the letters, deciding, to get them the right size so that they will fit. So the first one is my Easter. This is coming up for hopefully an Easter finish. And it is, I'd say my favourite hymn, actually it's my favourite psalm, Psalm 23, which this is derived from. But I have many hymns I absolutely love. So there you go. This is the King of Love, my shepherd is. And you'll see that I've been working on placing the lettering so that it does fit in the frame, and just getting the lines married up with what will go around the frame. It's not going to be a regular frame. I feel with this one it's very much reminiscent for me of designs that were stitched in the UK during the 1940s, during the war, and into the 1950s, the sort of thing that my mother would have stitched with her sewing circle. And so that was the lawyer's wife and the GP's wife, and my mother, and all of their daughters went to the same school and were, in my class. So it was a very close knit community at the time. And so anyway, to get back to the point, someone who does influence me is Flora Clickman, and I will probably do an episode on Flora, because she has seriously influenced me in the past. She was a wonderful lady who produced and edited many books on needlework in the early 20th century, and also wrote other books. She's wonderful, but I will be doing another episode on her, just devoted to her at some point. But in those days, and she did, as I say, edit many designs and patterns for stitching and knitting and crochet. And you can see that they loved to have what I would call an off-kilter frame. And this is what I'm going to do here. This frame is not going to continue straight along in a straight line. It's going to come down a bit. So you'll have a corner that is lower than another corner. That's certainly something that I will be doing with that. And of course, many more of the primroses. So what am I stitching this on? I am stitching this on R&R Antique Cream, which is a yellowish linen, and this is 40 count. So it has actually been quite demanding for me, because I decided to do 1/1 for the actual lettering, and I'm not doing tent stitch. I'm not doing half crosses. I'm doing full crosses. So that's what I'm doing. But I'm sure if I finally publish this as a pattern for a PDF download, which may well be in the pipeline, then I would also suggest that people consider stitching the letters in tent stitch. Would make it a lot easier. Now the other design that I'm working on is, and by the way, the threads for those are a mix. I've got a whole mix of DMC anchor. I'm going by the colour. The next one is Blue Alphabet, and I haven't quite finished this, but I think I'll have it finished for next episode next week. In that the actual design is finished. I've now completed the bottom design. Again, it's slightly off kilter. It's not uniform in the way that old-fashioned 19th century samplers tended to be. This is really, again, influenced by needlework that was done certainly in the UK, and I'm sure further afield, in the 20th century, sort of mid 20th century. The actual motifs are derived from very old Dutch samplers, but I've certainly taken liberties artistically with the design. There we are. And I'm going to have the lowercase alphabet completed, hopefully for next week, and then I will just put these now and again across the line there, and that will be it complete. I'm trying to do one thread every morning. I have to say I didn't do it every morning, and sometimes I've done 2 threads. I've got carried away and wanted just to keep going with that one. So that is Blue Alphabet. And again, that may end up being a PDF download on my Etsy shop at some point. If you're interested, then obviously message me, but I will be advertising that later when it's finished, when it's completed. I'm doing the stitching with Gentle Arts, Shaker, and I think it's called Freedom, and it's Winter Moon linen. One of my absolute favorites is Winter Moon, and it is R&R Winter Moon 32 count. There we are with that one. So what else? Well, as you probably know, I do knit, and I have had to stop knitting as intensively as I did last year because I bashed my finger gardening. I completely overdid a long secateurs tool, snipping away something, and hurt this joint here. And so I certainly didn't want anything worse happening to it. So I backed off the knitting for quite a few months, as you'll see if you look back at my previous episodes, but kept going a little bit. And I am now starting again because I wear socks, and unfortunately I wear bed socks and other socks, and well, they wear out, so you have to knit some more. And apart from that, I love knitting as well. So with the knitting, I tend to use just 2 sock patterns, one out of each of these books. This is Socks Around the World in Knitted Socks by Stephanie van der Linden. And it's a wonderful, wonderful book. I have actually knitted the ones on the front. I did enjoy doing them. But I've done a number of pairs of a particular design that I absolutely love stitching, love knitting, and it is the Brussels lace. And I love knitting lace, and so off we go again with another pair of lace socks, which I'll show you just in a second. The other book that I use, again, I absolutely love this book. I highly recommend going for this lady, Nina Granlund Saether, Socks from Around Norway. And she is a wonderful, wonderful knitter, as so many Norwegians are. And I have knit the ones that are on, actually I don't even have to open the book because they're on the front cover. I've knitted them twice, and these I finished just a few months ago actually, and I just love these. These would be nice in blue and white as well, but they're gorgeous. They're gorgeous. So you could look at that if you are into sock knitting. And she also has other book on glove knitting, and she has sweaters, and she has a Ravelry page. So what was I actually busy doing? Well, I was knitting the socks. My neighbour said to me, oh, I'm sure she won't mind me saying this, Oh, sock knitting. I always manage to knit one and then never get round to the other one. So the answer, and I agree, when I started knitting socks, that's exactly, and gloves, it was really irritating. Or the second one never was quite the same as the first. I'd get lost. And So the remedy is to knit them both as you go. And then you are starting with two, but you're also finishing with two. And I just spent a couple of hours on Saturday morning and made the DPN holders for the needles so that they wouldn't get broken or just go missing. And I thoroughly enjoyed doing that. And I'm going to put up an episode later in the week, hopefully, which will show you how I make them. Maybe not the same as everybody else, but this is how I've decided to make them. They are reversible. Mine use old-fashioned snap poppers, and I have stitched the edges with buttonhole stitch. So the whole thing is going to be an episode on how to. Now, for the audience who are saying, well, you know, I'm watching this for samplers, I'm not really interested in knitting or sock knitting. Another plan I have in the pipeline, having stitched these, because it's supposed to be getting warmer. I don't think it's really getting warmer at all. I have a thermometer on my front doorstep, and I checked it just now, and it's still 0. So I've still got my winter dress on, but it's warmer in the sun, put it that way. And as it gets warmer, I can come in here, which is a cold room, get my sewing machine, pop it on the table and start stitching. Because what I would like to do is to make a project bag, and you're all going hooray because I said I wouldn't. But I have to make a project bag. I have to sew one for Anne Grant. Anne Grant is very large, and it's silk, and it's beautiful, and it needs to go in a home. It needs to be kept safe. So patchwork, I have some fabric that's beautiful, and a patchwork project bag is definitely in the pipeline for Anne Grant. And to go back to the knitting, I've used West Yorkshire spinners. It's a lovely yarn, lovely wool, 75% wool, 25% nylon, signature 4-ply for anyone that's interested. But as I say, I'm actually going to be showing you a little bit more about my knitting and about my DPN holders in a separate episode coming soon. So as I say, it is a little bit of a medley. And the other thing that I have done this week, I went to the garden centre. I have a wonderful garden centre that's about half an hour's drive from me, and one that's reasonable, that's 15 minutes away. So I went to the one that's 15 minutes away and bought I'm calling them daffodils, they're actually narcissus. I'm still a little bit muddled up. Are daffodils larger? I suppose they are. What did I do? Well, as some of you will know, I also watercolour, paint, and I indulged in a new book. I'm one of these people who love to record, love to keep records, love to look back on records. I write my journal every day. And have done that for absolutely years now. It's not a chore. It reminds me what the day is. I have to write the date, and it's great company. And as I say, it's lovely to look back. What was I doing this time last year? And I did find after a couple of years doing this, I was amazed at how my life just goes round in cycles, and I will be interested in the same thing, exactly the same thing that I was interested in 12 months prior. And I know that William Butler Yeats, the poet, the Irish poet, certainly thought that our lives were in spirals. And well, there is something I can say, I can verify that from my own journal. Well, I don't know how many little journals, and one day I may show you, and I've certainly done an episode on some of my my books, my journals for knitting. I did one, and also for my samplers. But I wanted to have one that was going to keep track not just of my weeks but of my months. So this is my monthly home journal. And of course I should have started it in January, but no matter. I started it in March, and I just write here the various categories, aspects of my life. I have here knitting, samplers, crochet, piano, drawing, cat, Casper, just the categories, areas in my life. And this is the page, or these are the pages starting from March, and I have my my little list of things. Garden shed cleared. Well, we'll see if we get round to that. Roses manured and fed. Again, I may wait to the end of March for that. And I decided to go with watercolour flowers to decorate this. Because it's actually watercolour paper, and I just love doing that. So I have two that I've done. One of the designs I've made into a card, and you can buy it on my Etsy shop. I'm just calling it Spring Daffodils. Maybe I should have called it Spring Narcissus, but there you are. It's not actually, I will be doing a card for Easter, or maybe a number of cards for Easter, but this is just a spring card. So if you're interested, just pop along to the Etsy shop, and one will be beautifully printed off for you and sent with an envelope, of course. It's a blank card. So there we are, and we'll see how we go through the year. And it may just be a couple of pages per month, I'm not quite sure. So what a rich life. My mother always said, you'll never be bored. You'll never be bored. And you know, I never am bored. Now, plans for the week. Definitely Merrily Merrily by Blackbird Designs. How far have I got with this? I managed to stitch all of the border because I didn't want to get lost. So all of the base of the border has already been done last week, and I may go with alphabet. I may go with the alphabet, but we'll see. We will see. So I hope you have enjoyed that. I hope you've been inspired, and I'm wishing you all the best, and hoping that you will have a lovely week of stitching, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.